How Russia scammed McDonald's out of their stores. The American fast food brand McDonald's ran and leased McDonald's outlets in Russia from 1990 until 2022. George Cohen, chairman of McDonald's Canada, received approval to construct the first McDonald's in the Russian Empire in 1990, after 14 years of preparation and discussions. The entrance of the well-known American company was viewed as a sign of the communist nation's ongoing political reform. After the collapse of the Soviet Union the same year, the business continued to operate there, and in the ensuing years, it continued to expand there. Corporate entities held 84% of the stores as of 2022, while franchises managed the remaining 24%. However, after spending more than 32 years operating in Russia, the corporation decided to temporarily halt all of its business on March 8th in response to Western corporate boycotts. But the question is why? Temporary closing of McDonald's. More than 30 years ago, soon after the collapse of the Berlin Wall, the first McDonald's in Russia launched in the heart of Moscow. As more Western companies pull out of Russia following its aggressive invasion of neighbouring Ukraine, the international fast food brand McDonald's has now declared it's momentarily shutting down all 850 stores inside the country. McDonald's stated that it anticipates deducting between $1.2 billion and $1.4 billion from revenues due to leaving Russia. Chris Kempczynski, CEO of McDonald's, said, "The conflict in Ukraine and the humanitarian crisis in Europe has caused unspeakable suffering to innocent people," according to the statement. McDonald's has decided to temporarily close all our restaurants in Russia and pause all operations in the market. However, the fast food company will continue to pay its 62,000 Russian workers, who have dedicated their heart and spirit to our McDonald's business. Kempczynski stated that the American-based company maintained its support for Ukrainian workers by paying full payments and making a $5 million donation to an employee assistance fund. Furthermore, 108 McDonald's locations in Ukraine have been temporarily closed from March. Other fast food chains. Unlike popular fast food chains like KFC, Pizza Hut, Starbucks and Burger King, which are operated by franchises in Russia, they have also announced they're shutting down. KFC and Pizza Hut's parent organisation, Yum Brands, declared on March 7th that all the money it made from its 1,050 stores in Russia would be donated to charitable causes. Additionally, it has prohibited the construction of new restaurants in the nation. On March 8th, Starbucks also disclosed that it would cease all company operations in Russia, including deliveries and cafe services. Later on March 8th, Coca-Cola and PepsiCo also declared that they would momentarily cease all company operations in Russia. To oppose the invasion to Ukraine, many businesses have stopped operating there. One of them is the multinational giant of consumer products, Unilever, which has announced on March 8th that it had stopped all exports and imports of items into or out of Russia and would not be making any additional investments there. Permanent end of McDonald's and launch of Vuskno and Toshka. To reassure Russians that they may keep living Western lives, although if Big Macs are removed from the list, previous McDonald's restaurants in the Russian capital have relaunched under a new identity, Vuskno and Toshka, which refers to yummy and that's it. Due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, McDonald's stated in May that it was leaving the Russian market and would gradually sell its 850 stores there. In response to sanctions and severe scarcity in some areas, it agreed to join an exodus of Western companies from the Russian market. The first 15 locations of the brand new Russian fast food business acquired McDonald's opened in Moscow on Sunday. In the future, Vuskno and Toshka intend to reopen all 850. The restaurant looked to be a planned duplicate of the American company at its grand debut on Pushkin Square in Moscow. The menu included twin cheeseburgers, chicken nuggets and salmon burgers. Oleg Parov, CEO of Vuskno and Toshka, stated, "Our goal is that our guests do not notice a difference in either quality or ambience." To remove any hint to the fast food company, the eatery offered old McDonald's hot mustard sauce packets. The new identity played on many Russians' nostalgia as they grew habituated to Western products and brands, despite the Kremlin's criticism of Western influence. The new restaurant's tagline stated, "The name changes, the love endures." The The slogan, "The Same Smiles," was embroidered on the staff members' clothing. When the first McDonald's launched in Pushkin Square in 1990, signaling American products and services' entry into the struggling Soviet economy, many Russians remembered the workers' grins. For their first cheeseburger or Coke, over 30,000 Soviet consumers stood in the cold for hours in line. Now that Russia's war has taken numerous lives and made its industry unreachable for some of the biggest corporations in the world, Vuskno and Toshka's opening heralds a new path towards isolation. Bemusement and perhaps derision have been directed towards the name. One Moscow resident told the pro-Kremlin website that it was a little specific but intriguing. Another person remarked, "Makdak would have been nicer," using the common Russian abbreviation for McDonald's. Replicas of McDonald's are nothing new. After the region was taken over following the start of the war in 2014, a McDonald's in Russian-controlled Donetsk was dubbed Donmak. According to Reuters, the brand's owner, Alexander Gova, announced that up to £98.63 million would be invested into the company this year. However, Russians said that Gova would not have sufficient funds to buy the whole fast food chain on his own, and suggested that the blacklisted bank Sovcombank may have been involved in the deal. One protester waved a banner that read, "Bring back the Big Mac." When the restaurant returned on Sunday, he was taken out without delay. Importance of McDonald's. The withdrawal is strangely emotional for Bakhti Nishanov, a Eurasia expert raised in the Soviet Union. "It's truly weird how this hits me. It's almost like hope leaving the country," he said. "This has a massive symbolic importance. McDonald's coming to Russia, then part of the Soviet Union, was an implicit signal to the world that Russia is open for business. According to Nishanov, the corporation leaving Russia indicates that doing business there is no longer a good idea." Nishanov added, "I first read about McDonald's in Russia in a youth magazine called Unilever. I was absolutely mesmerized and fascinated by the article and the idea that one, for a relatively modest amount of money, can two be part of the American culture that McDonald's was a tangible representation of. To a generation of Russians, McDonald's, commonly referred to as Makdak, was a fascinating phenomenon." He added, "Clearly connected to the American culture, yet very much part of their daily lives and, in a way, less foreign or alien than many other brands." The perspective of different Russians. Not all Russians regret the demise of the Golden Arches. "Hello Americans, we want to thank you for all your sanctions, for taking away from our country Coca-Cola, KFC, McDonald's and all that. Now by summer we will be healthy, strong and without arse fat," Russian blogger and entertainer Nasha Krasanova stated in an Instagram post that received over 5 million views in March. Several Russians support switching to Russian-made companies from Western chains and are currently capable of producing their hamburgers and other fast food items. However, as a large portion of the nation rejects Western emblems out of patriotism, some have also been driven to abandon American-style eating in favour of regional dishes. Many Russians find it frustrating to deal with the repercussions of conflict they did not start. Compared to the misery inflicted upon Ukraine, where thousands of innocent civilians have indeed been murdered by Russian bombers and countless communities have been left to ruins, these repercussions pale in comparison. Time will tell how many Russians will leave their country in search of the more liberal world they know, and how many more will prefer devotion to the country, fighting against that world as the war rages on. International sanctions further ostracize Russia. For Nishanov, the issue is more significant than just McDonald's. He stated, "McDonald's leaving Russia hits many of my generations differently. I think because it represented, and I know this sounds dramatic, hope and optimism. The company leaving confirms Putin's Russia as a place devoid of those two things." That's all there is for today. Leave us a comment with your thoughts on how and why Russia's scammed McDonald's out of their stores. Also, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed the video, and click the notification bell to never miss our videos. Stay tuned.